Here comes the transmission event.
It's gonna make me emotional.
Yes. With every interaction, in the way that our exhibits respond to guests, we hope that they feel that their creativity matters in this world. And it's like our job to be pushing ourselves and thinking like beyond what's possible. That's the way Meow Wolf has kind of always exists.
I'm just so jealous.
We have dream jobs, for sure. Oh. Yeah.
I am here in Houston, Texas at Meow Wolf Radio Tave. And if you're unfamiliar with Meow Wolf, it's a very large art installation / story / first-person walking simulator, video game, and real-life audio-visual extravaganza. There's a story behind all of this. It's interconnected with other Meow Wolves in the country. This is the 4th installation that I've been to. I've been to Omega Mart in Vegas multiple times, which is just incredible. It's basically like a grocery store that's really bizarre. And then I've also been to Convergence Station in Denver, which is absolutely massive. I have been to the Real Unreal in Grapevine, Texas, which is really beautiful. And here I'm at Radio Tave here. And the thing that's most exciting about this is that I reached out to the sound team and asked if there's any place in the entire country that we should meet up to where I could learn about the sound of how Meow Wolf thinks about sound design. Meeting up anywhere in the country, where should we meet? And they said right here. So let's go do this.
Oh, cool. And this we think of as like just an antechamber, like a setup for the actual entrance into our world. So the idea is you come through this whole twisting tunnel and then you come into this space, and it's like a experiment in negative space, setting up the entry into the radio station.
It's only a dirty dish, let it go. No. Let me paint you a picture. Above the sink are cabinets. On those cabinets are a few encouraging notes.
Set the stage here.
Sure.
I'm at a loss for words already.
So we've entered into the lobby of ETNL, community radio station based out of Little Thicket.
Little Thicket.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the idea when you come in is really that you're greeted with a familiar space. Anybody who's been into a community radio station lobby, this should be pretty believable as a radio station lobby, without many indications that there's anything amiss. Once you start scratching the surface a little bit, you'll start to notice details that are out of place. We want you to come in to a familiar environment and then gradually sort of distort reality until you're in this fantastical environment. And we feel that helps our guests feel comfortable coming in and then finding a way to explore other sides of reality. And so this is the radio station responding to another space. And we'll go deeper into the narrative, I guess, but this is a transmission event that is the event, the rupture in space-time that creates all the distortions in reality that this radio station is experiencing. So at some point in their scanning of other frequencies, they come across this strange transmission from an alternate dimension. And as soon as that sort of permeates the radio station is transported into an alternate dimension that they can't figure out how to get back from. And this transmission event is a periodic event, and it happens every 20 minutes or so as the energy from the Glen, this neighboring space, spills over and boils over into the radio station's experience. And it takes over the audio, it takes over the lighting, it takes over every interaction that you're involved in this space as it happens.
There's some serious spatial stuff happening in here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this sounds incredible. Okay, I'm a sucker for hidden speakers.
Yeah.
Can you point them out?
Sure.
Okay, here, I'll give you a little laser pointer, and you just push that.
Okay. There and there.
Yeah, I thought I heard that.
There's a bunch overhead that are actually hard to pick out because they're buried in the canopy.
Yeah.
We've done a really good job in this
I can
exhibit
tell.
hiding them. They're in, let's see, over here, which you would never even notice. Over here.
Wow.
That's been a strong focus as we've grown as an organization, is finding better ways to disguise sound emitters.
Yeah. Sound emitters. I like how you say that.
Because they're not always speakers, right? Sometimes haptic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're touching things.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes they're a little sleepy.
Oh my god. Okay, so this is all just touch sensitive or
Yep.
something.
Yep. And there's speakers inside of these little guys.
Wow.
Whenever possible, we want sound to emanate exactly from the intended spot, right? So it'd be a very different experience if this came from a speaker up there,
Right.
as opposed to inside of its mouth.
I can't tell if those are like woofers or if those are just
They're
movements.
gongs.
Oh, those are real gongs.
Yeah, pitched metal gongs.
Oh, wow. So those are physical.
Yeah, electromechanical, actuated. Same with the piano.
Oh, okay. Let's go do that. Oh, so that's actually triggering a real piano up there.
Yeah.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
And as the chords change, the notes change in tandem. Zero is kind of in key with these weird jazzy chords here.
I'm just so jealous.
We have dream jobs for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like our job to be pushing ourselves and thinking like beyond what's possible. And that's the way Meow Wolf has kind of always existed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we probably have more sound transmitters up here throughout.
Yeah, they're mostly in these
Yeah.
sort of lit portals, which is cool that it became a feature of the visual design, and you never see a speaker.
Incredible.
Here comes the transmission event.
It's gonna make me emotional.
it's
I mean, this
intense,
stuff
right?
sounds incredible. There's no way that this is gonna come through on a little
Right.
microphone
I
of
know.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so distinctly everywhere in spots, and it's just so detailed.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, this is one of the best sounding spaces that I've ever heard.
Thanks.
Right here.
Thank you. We're
Yeah.
really proud of this one. Yep.
This is like the 3 Michelin star of sound experience right here.
Thanks, Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah, we're really proud of this one. It's a good collaboration.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to hold myself back.
Yeah.
That is very amazing. Just the fact that you can do it.
It's powerful, right? The combination of the acoustic instruments and the spatial sound design, all the interactions in here, it's just alive with sound and sonority.
And it's amazing. I mean, speakers sound incredible, especially nowadays, but being able to intertwine that with real acoustic instruments, gongs, a piano, just brings like a whole level of detail that's like, you have, analog versus digital versus it's really right here making the sound beautifully. It's incredible.
Right, and in this modern world where everybody has like perfect sounding headphones and AirPods, it can be hard to come into a space and have like an experience that's better than what you could experience in your headphones listening at home. But you could never have this dimension of spatial design or the like physical impact of acoustic instruments and the gestalt of all of that interacting. You just can never recreate that anywhere but right here in Meow Wolf.
How many sound emitters are in this room?
35.
So you have a 35 track musical experience, sound design experience happening in here. in addition to the gongs and the piano.
Yes, exactly. And you know, Atmos and the other spatial tools that are sort of more standard in the industry are incredible in their own right, but we need a highly customized spatial approach to all of our spaces, so we don't end up using the off-the-shelf solutions, which would be lovely if we could, but the occlusion and the odd geometry of our spaces necessitates custom tools. And I'll show you here how we do it. So this is our custom spatial tool developed by Eric Heap and other technologists on our team. This uses technology from Earcom, the SPAT tools that they've created that handle the panning algorithms, and then we've created this highly customized interface to work with each one of our environments. So this space has, you know, we have the floor plan for the Bailiwick here. So when we're doing our mix, I'll focus on one sound and then capture a motion like this, and you can see the green indicating that the sound is hitting those speakers. So each green dot is a speaker, and then I can, you know, I do it with an Apple Pencil on a tablet, but I can just capture a motion like that, moving it back and forth, and the gestural capacity of it is kind of brilliant, right? And the idea is to bring guests into the compositional process with these interactions. So, you know, every note is tuned in concert with the composition, so that the guests never have to be self-conscious about playing out of key as they would, you know, presented with a piano keyboard or a violin or something. You know, it's not as approachable, but these interfaces are really cool. And so people are in here all day jamming with each other, you know. So this is our venue. I can turn up the audio in here too. This is a nice piece where the black light sweeps across the space along with a wave of spatial audio, these like little tinklings.
Okay, again, I just hear it everywhere.
Yep, that kind of resolution and motion mimics the natural environment, right? I mean, you're outside and sounds are coming from everywhere and the birds are moving, so I think what we're shooting for is a believable environment to convince guests that they are in this world with us, you know, and it's not just like music coming from over there, it's a whole environment that completes your sense of immersion.
My eyes, and this is what's just incredible about the use of sound in here, is my eyes can see that it's a fairly, I mean, it's a large space, but like the sound makes it feel like it's infinite.
Right.
I mean, it feels like we're outside.
Yep.
Due to the sound.
Yes.
It just feels like there's so much beyond, like the sounds go way further than the walls.
Yes, and this is designed by sound technologist Les Stuck, who's a wizard, especially with these kinds of like highly articulate, high frequency sounds. The insects and the little tinkles, our ears are really well trained to locate high frequency sounds like that. So I feel like he's really capitalized on the spatial environment using those frequencies. Yeah, and then the synchronization with the lighting is fantastic too. So you should see the lighting change with these twinkles. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, what is this room?
It's called Everyday Upside Down. Sound designed by Agnes Sellout. Pretty diegetic soundscape, like the sounds of normal household and, you know, family life, appliances and kids chattering, and just seating, which is really nice to take a load off. You know, Meow Wolf can be intense for people, especially in terms of audio, right? If you have like everything at the same level and everything like constantly full range, immersive, you need a break sometimes. This is our Glowquarium.
Nice. I recognize the vibe.
Yep. We contracted a local composer to do this space, and that's the case for our arcade here, and also for the Obsidiopolis space, which we'll get to later. But we like to, rather than just work with, we do work with contractors for sound design and composition. We have this fantastic firm called Audio Focus based in Santa Fe that does a lot of the smaller spaces for us, stuff that we just we couldn't and shouldn't handle all of the sound design internally. It's nice to have a diversity of compositional approaches, and different sound designers will approach creative prompts in different ways, and we want that dynamism and that diversity. And especially we want to represent compositional voices based in the areas that our exhibit's open in. So we found this composer just scouring online for interesting sound artists in the Houston area. His name's Rory O'Brien. And he did a fantastic job at creating this like sort of off-kilter, vaguely unsettling underwater environment here.
I see a microphone over here.
Oh yeah, let's see what that does.
Hello, hello. Whoa, it's doing something. Okay, so audio triggers this thing. Hello, hello. Is it communicating with me? Are you communicating with me?
We always have to leave room for discrete elements too. So we have this like whole immersive environment, but that's not the end of it. There needs to be like little details and little local experiences, sometimes narratively driven, sometimes just a fun interactive like this. But we always have to think about that as we're designing the larger soundscapes to leave space for articulate experiences within those bigger designs. Let's check out some of these other interactive spaces. Sick.
I think of this stuff like magic tricks where I don't believe anything that's said here. So this says do not touch, which makes me want to touch.
Oh, it's the transmission event.
Oh.
I mean, it's such a feat that we were able to synchronize the timing of the transmission event from the Bailiwick in here as well. And the broadcast even responds to it. So like there'll be like a little interruption saying like, oh, we have to pause our normally scheduled broadcast because the Bailiwick is interrupting again. So the radio station employees are kind of aware of it narratively, that it happens periodically, and they're just ready for it. And then every every sound environment in here responds to the Bailiwick in real time. It's crazy.
Oh, no way. Okay, we got vocal booths and everything?
Yeah, check it out.
Okay, I'm going to talk into this microphone to see what happens.
Are such questions much on your mind?
How does this work?
Does that question interest you?
I want to stay in here for a long time and just listen to this, but at the same time, I want to get out as fast as possible. I don't really know. I want to stay here, but I want to leave.
You say, well, I think I would love to stay here for a very long time.
I'm going to leave now. Wow.
Doesn't know how to end a conversation very well. This is Felix. So this has a couple different behaviors. There's a creature in here somewhere. Oh, it's a cat. Hi, kitty. Do you like the petting?
I would say that like across all exhibitions, as cool as just the tech is, at the fundamental are just really good sound design decisions.
Yes. And we're always erring on the side of subtlety and musicality in our sound design to make sure that not only does an individual experience track well for a user, but that the sum total of all the sounds in a space really combine in a musical and comfortable way for guests. And ultimately, I think that helps people stay longer in our exhibits, interact with an interactive project for longer, because it's satisfying and comfortable. Oh, is that the transmission event again, I think? Yeah. And that was an interesting design consideration, too, of how often the transmission event happens.
Right.
Because walking around for a couple hours in here, we've heard it now, 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah.
This is by a local artist who wanted to pay tribute to the history of chopped and screwed in Houston. Chopped and screwed is like a subgenre of hip hop where they'll like pitch down a hip hop track, and it gives us this sort of like dizzy sort of feel. And it was interesting because this artist really wanted it to just be chopped and screwed music tracks, but because of the openness to the Bailiwick, we couldn't really have a full-on musical setting here. It would just be impossible to synchronize the tempos and the keys and everything across a dynamic composition. So our workaround was that we created this environment where, like, you're in a neighborhood, there's cars passing by, each car has a chopped and screwed track playing, so you get this just periodic drift by it. So in terms of duration for a larger space, that should be around the 20-minute mark. And within that 20 minutes, you really want to sense that things are evolving and developing over time. The idea being that if guests hear something changing slowly or quickly, that they'll want to stick around and wait to see what happens next. So we want to keep a dynamic arc that keeps our participants engaged and ready for more.
Amazing. Okay. Wow. Okay, we're over the event space here.
And so each one of these mezzanine spaces has a design that's intended to complement the main space, taking into account the bleed, of course, the openness between these spaces and the venue environment. We wanted to have little vignettes that support the larger design.
Wow. Lots of rumbles. I want to say, what does it all mean? I don't want to know. I don't want to know what it means.
But yeah, I mean, Meow Wolf has never really been interested in like providing explicit artist statements in a way that a number of galleries or museums would. And I'm split on it. I think it's nice to give artists a chance to sort of seed the experience with their own sort of intention and their statement. But I do like that everything is open to interpretation and that the guests can really experience things the way they do and not be prompted.
It's also making like really thoughtful art really accessible.
Right. I mean, we started as a collective asking people to come and experience work by 4 or 5 artists, and we were lucky to get traction in that regard. But I think it's hard for an individual artist or even a small collective to get that sort of momentum and gravity built. We built that in Santa Fe, and now we can bring so much more creativity into this sphere and provide a platform for artists that might have a hard time reaching a big audience. It's an awesome place to be in. So now we're in our kind of alley cityscape. And this is like a much more pointillistic sound design. There are some sounds that move through overhead, but this is more about little sound snapshots coming from various local speakers in the environment.
How long was this project from the conference room table, if you will, to day one of opening?
Yeah, I think this project was over 2 years, but not much over 2 years.
That's not a lot of time.
Not at all. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, after you. This is our bar and cafe. Yeah, so this is a functioning dive bar and cafe. There's like a handful of menu items and drinks. But the idea is that these characters are all sort of in like a liminal afterlife space.
Speaking of a full cup, I think I will join you. ¿Por qué no?
Dilly here has a speaker embedded inside, which was a challenge to get a speaker into a tiny sculpture like this. And we ended up perforating in the bands of his shells here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's like little micro perf in between these bands. And it was a compromise because ultimately the sound sort of projects this way when it should project this way. But still better to have a speaker inside than try to feed it from something overhead.
Right.
Because it really feels like he's talking still.
So this here says, this seat is reserved for Matt King.
And this is Matt, our rainbow angel.
Okay, so tell me about this.
Matt is a co-founder of Meow Wolf and longtime friend, and he passed away 2 years ago. So we're memorializing him here. He's got his seat at the bar for eternity.
Yeah. And I assume Matt's spirit is still deeply embedded into this culture?
Yes, absolutely. He was like the beating heart of the DIY aesthetic, the maximalist expression that Meow Wolf is famous for.
Wow.
I have so many fond memories of him, like shirtless and sweaty with a nail gun, just like installing stuff. You know, I feel like he's the element of like unbridled creativity and chaos almost that Meow Wolf is famous for, and that we've had to find a healthy balance, you know, between the design process and architecture and keeping projects on time and on budget. But Matt embodied the ethos of just pure creativity, reckless almost. Shall I put something on the jukebox?
Yes.
The creative director for this space, Cole Wilson, is a musician and songwriter as well. So he wrote and recorded 30 of these songs on the jukebox, and the rest we worked with Marmoset to license local Houston country singers. And you want to rack up some pool and hear the pool shark here?
Now, I'm not one to dole out advice, but I am going to say it might be a good time to start being good at playing pool right about now.
How much leeway as artists do you have to like approve things, or do you just do it?
Well, yeah, there's structure to the creative development. There's usually an executive creative director for a project, working in tandem with an executive creative producer. So kind of like, you know, figuring out the designs and also shepherding the creative throughout. But that executive role is really like a support role for other creative directors that are assigned per space. So like a space like this, Cole Wilson creative directed, and he brings in all the artists that he wants to work with, and they all have pretty good latitude to bring their own creative ideas to the table within the auspice of we're creating a dive bar. So I think the North Star creative principles guide the creative, but leave a ton of flexibility for artists to be expressive in their own right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hungry? Thirsty?
Very much so.
Come on in. Echo! Oh my goodness, that's so cool. Thank you, Eric Heap. Wow.
Very nice.
Right? And this is a perfect example of real-time audio processing.
Gosh, you guys are so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, what is happening in here?
It's kind of this like stratigraphic art piece, and the artist hired local composers, friends of his, to work on this. It's a 4-channel design. Actually, Meow Wolf spatialized the artist's composition.
What are the key speakers that you have? They sound fantastic.
Yeah, they're Sonance pendant speakers.
Okay.
Yeah, designed to hang from the ceiling and fire downwards.
Now, is all that low end coming from those two?
There's a subwoofer up there as well. Yeah, a nice dual 10 sub. I prefer having them on the floor when possible, just because the low frequency feels more natural to come from below.
Yeah.
But they work overhead just fine too.
Incredible.
And you know, low frequency is something we always want to incorporate to as much as possible to make it a believable experience, right? You know, if you have only 200 hertz and above, or 150 even, that starts sounding more like speakers, where if you have the low frequency, it sounds like, oh, that's actually something that could be happening in the real world.
Yeah.
Full spectrum. So even in these small rooms where you might be inclined to not want to try to squeeze a subwoofer in, we try. We always try, yeah.
Wow, I mean, this is a room where you don't necessarily have bleed, since it's actually behind a door. But even the bleed is just so thoughtfully done here throughout the space. It's like everything is working together.
Yes, agreed. And we've taken that to extremes in previous shows. In Santa Fe, everything shares a key signature and a tempo. And so like there's modal shifts between spaces, like one space will be in C major, neighboring space might be D minor or A minor, you know, G mixolydian or something. So we used all these modal relationships to give individual spaces distinction. But the tempo is consistent throughout that exhibit, so you have these like almost DJ-like beat-matched crossfades in between spaces, and that was fun and successful in many ways. These days we've been a little more flexible about that with different key signatures and different tempo structures. But in cases where there is overlapping musicality, we're always thinking about that, and we'll use sync where appropriate, both in terms of harmony and rhythm.
Wow, so cool.
See how the light pulses when the door is open?
Just keeps going.
This is a Persian artist and composer, collaborators from Houston.
Wow.
Really nice to have those acoustic instrument textures and that cultural influence. We tried to treat this overhead environment as pretty neutral, so that you're not coming from some musical or overly defined sound environment into these discrete side projects. So we tried to use this as like a negative space almost, just noise.
Just atonal, something that doesn't interfere.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where anything in here could be musical.
Yes,
it feels very satisfying.
And then you have the doors open and the bleed is coming out, so this has a low frequency bass shaker on the glass too.
What?
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna put my microphone on it. Yeah, and it's like It's oscillating. It's incredible.
Yeah. So this is Obsidiopolis. It's kind of a separate narrative from the radio station.
All right, we have dripping sounds.
I think that's the clock.
Oh, the clock.
Yeah. We have like 5 or 6 different sound elements in this one room, right?
Tough day today. Starting to wonder if any of this was a good idea. None of what I'm making seems good enough. Even stuff that seemed great last week now just seems, I don't know, weak.
So this whole area of the exhibit is kind of based on like an artist's creative journey through like self-confidence and self-doubt. And this alley represents that self-doubt.
This is drawing us. Okay.
And this is like the contrast to that self-doubt, just joy, party time.
Another thing that I'm curious about is the employees. Where does the line between employee and actor?
Very good question. Creative operators, we call them, are definitely a part of the experience and are there to like guide people to the places they need to get to, and also lead them into parts of the experience that they might not have uncovered on their own.
Yeah.
So they're not really playing characters per se, but they are integrated into the experience and into the world building. That varies from exhibit to exhibit. In Denver, they're employees of the Transit Corporation. In Omega Mart, they're grocery store employees or DramCorp employees. So they are worked into the story, but I think their main role is to enhance guest experience and guide people to different layers of the experience they might not have otherwise accessed.
This here is, I mean, top tier experience.
Thanks, Dallas. Yeah, I still love it. It's a good metric for me as a designer if I can stay in love with the designs after working on them for years on end, and especially the intensity of install, where like I'm hearing that composition on a loop for months straight, and I still love it.